Today with us, we have Mr. Joon Lee, Asia Pacific Market Development Director of FIDO Alliance, and we'll talk on more on the importance of passwordless future. Hi, June. How are you doing? I hope you're doing good.
Hi, Priya. How are you? Great to be with you today.
Great. It's a pleasure to have you on a podcast today. And I hope everyone around you and you yourself are doing healthy and safe.
Thank you. Thank you. Hope you are staying safe as well.
Thank you so much, June. Well, most of you the users are, of course, not well aware about your company and the services it offers. So, can you brief us about what FIDO does, its specialization, and the services it offers?
Sure, Priya. Thanks for the opportunity to speak on your podcast. So, FIDO, Fast Identity Online Alliance, is the Open Industry Association launched back in year 2013 with the goal of providing stronger and simpler online authentication for everyone. We currently have over 2050 members representing global leaders in online platform, internet service, IT device, security, finance, telecommunication, government, and so on. Under FIDO Alliance, companies, industries, and governments from all over the world are working together to solve the problems that online users face with the creating and remembering so many usernames and passwords and address the lack of interoperability among online authentication technologies.
Great. That's good to hear, June. Since we are talking more on the passwords and a passwordless future, so the main advantage of passwords is that everybody can use them straight away. So there is no need to tie yourself to a specific authentication token or a location or a smartphone that usually people use. So it might seem odd to some, but forcing users to own a smartphone or asking a company to provide their employees with one might be too costly for some organizations. So, having said that, what is the mission of FIDO Alliance and with what vision it was set up?
Okay. FIDO Alliance members have a mission to develop, promote, and educate FIDO authentication standards that help reduce word dependency on password. In terms of developing specifications, we have made some pretty good progress. So if it's okay, I'd like to go over some of the our works that we have done to fulfill these missions. Our early efforts were very much focused on developing initial specs for biometric authentication for password replacement. We call it UAF, Universal Authentication Framework. And for second factor authentication, we call it U2F, Universal Second Factor, which were both released at the end of year 2014. But to scale up, to make the FIDO authentication as ubiquitous as HTTP, Hypertext Transfer Protocol, we submitted our technical specs to World Wide Web Consortium, W3C, to form the Web Authentication Working Group, which created the WebAuthn API, which then became part of the FIDO2 last year. With the FIDO2, we now see support across a set of web browsers like Edge, Chrome, Safari, and Firefox, and it is natively supported in Android and Windows 10. Early this year, Apple joined our board of directors and have expanded their browser and operating system support. So this is great because service providers no longer need to worry about how many customers can be addressed. So inside the Alliance, we are currently working on breaking down any other obstacles to implementing FIDO. So we have different working groups tackling technology, business, and policy challenges and helping to educate the market. In terms of educating the market, we have a strong developer support program such as FIDO workshops, seminars, and hackathons that we usually do in regional basis. Very recently, new progresses that we have made are Authenticate Conference and login with the FIDO.com. As part of the promoting FIDO and educating the market, we just completed our inaugural Authenticate 2020 conference in virtual format. We had about 50 plus sessions over 6 full days and well attended by over 3,000 people. So for those of you who missed these sessions, on-demand record sessions are available. So come and visit our website, FIDOalliance.org or authenticate.com. Login with the FIDO.com is another asset that we developed for the purpose of educating many different stakeholders. Whether you are average consumer or service provider, this would be a great place to learn how FIDO works and where to start.
Great. Thank you, June. I think that was quite impressive. And thank you for sharing with us how the company is making valuable contributions in the space of security. When we're talking about like introduced, I spoke about multi-factor authentication, and an increasing number of sites are offering multi-factor login. So this means that it takes more than one form of authentic identification to log in. So this process usually involves a special USB key or an authentication app that runs on your cell phone, like for example, Google Authenticator. So keeping our data secure is more important now than ever because we keep so much of our lives online. While technology continues to change, new security options will become available as well. But similarly, hackers will also continue to adapt those challenges as well. So as these changes occur, we as users are also responsible for keeping up with the security of our private information. So when we're talking about information, how do you think, or what are the risks that rely on passwords, or what can or should be the new form of authentication?
Sure. Thanks for the question. So many online users are using password that can be easily guessed. We can look at the recent news coverage by GDNet, which reported a study done over 2 billion passwords leaked during this year data breaches. About 56% of these passwords are found to be incredibly easy to guess. The study also says that it could take less than a second or two for hackers to break into account using these credentials. So now if you look at the Verizon data breach report, which has been publishing annually since year 2017, about 80% of hacking-related breaches occur due to poorly managed, easily guessed, or stolen passwords. So these passwords are spilled onto the dark web and stuffed into accounts. Passwords are simply outdated mechanisms from 1960s computer system. It is certainly not fit for a purpose in today's world. The core weakness of password is that they are shared secrets that sit on the server. So we must fundamentally move authentication away from centralized to decentralized with the possession-based authentication by leveraging the devices that are already in your hands. This will get rid of the big breaches and credential spills, making it much harder to target individuals.
Great. I think that's fantastic, and I feel the company itself is taking new strides in the space of security. Moving ahead, from online shopping to banking and private work, we are very much dependent on the internet. And with passwords, we are just a security shield away from the reach of hackers and probably threat actors. But as a dependency on the internet is increasing, these opportunistic cyber criminals have advanced in launching cyber attacks too. So for a fact, stealing passwords and breaching data is so common now that it seems to be a cakewalk for cyber criminals. So what are your views, or how do you think a passwordless future ensures effective cybersecurity?
Sure. Passwordless authentication is an authentication mechanism where users can authenticate without typing in passwords or OTPs, what we call one-time passcode. That is the secrets are shared with the servers. So you are all experiencing already the passwordless authentication in the newer version of a smartphone that support biometric logins, like a facial, fingerprint, etc., without typing any password. So there is no need for a huge learning curve to be involved. That's a cost there. Eliminating password minimizes the risk of breaches and lowers the cost of ownership. It reduces the burden of managing password policies, password expiration, password resets, and etc. So passwordless authentication helps organizations to defend against attacks like brute force, credential stuffing, password spray, and phishing. So most of these vulnerabilities associated with password will decrease as there are no credentials to steal or hack and improve overall cybersecurity.
I think I very much liked your point of how if you're having a passwordless future, so effective cybersecurity will be in the terms of lower cost of ownership and the minimization of data breach. So currently, if you see the current scenario in this global pandemic situation, with everything completely moving online, a risk of password security in organization is much more at stake. 6 months into the pandemic, and we have already faced the worst cyber attacks of the history back to back. To top it all, the new normal of almost a remote working culture and employees using their personal devices to work has become a security nightmare for various organizations across the globe. One such example that I would like to cite is a Cognizant ransomware attack is alarming itself a huge chunk of the company's personal information, including credit cards were compromised, and the major IT forces also now facing the impact of the loss of almost 50 to 70 million dollars in its revenue in the present quarter, as per some reports. So, when we're talking about such unprecedented situation, so how will FIDO Alliance's standards and technology will help to bring better authentication?
Sure. So FIDO authentication is, first of all, it's very easy to use. It removes the friction and offer users the flexibility to use any FIDO-compatible authenticator or devices. FIDO Alliance, we recently did a survey on about 1,000 consumers in the US, and it is noted that 80% of these consumers claim that they abandoned a sale because they could not remember a password or because they had to reset their password to complete the purchase. So I think we can all relate to this kind of a sad story, but many people simply step away from online purchasing at the last minute because of these troubles caused by password. And FIDO authentication is a technology that is accepted by global standardization bodies like ITU, International Telecommunication Union, and WWDC, World Wide Web Consortium. And we are also working with the ISO in the same regards. Service providers can take advantage of these FIDO ecosystem and ensure interoperability of hardware, software, and biometric authentication. And the third, FIDO authentication is compliant with the PSD2 and GDPR, easing the compliancy concerns and rely on standardized authentication to help you meet the regulatory requirements. And it reduces cost by using FIDO certified solution. Service provider can reduce operational cost while ensuring a faster time to market. According to a study by Gartner Group, between 30 to 50% of all IT help desk calls are for password resets. The study done by Forrester also says that single password reset costs companies about average of $70. And some of the large corporations spend well over $1 million annually just for the password resets. Plus, do not need to focus on users to buy additional devices to deploy FIDO authentication. Just use your existing devices, such as smartphone, tablet, PCs, etc. With the native support of FIDO authentication in Android and iOS, many smartphones come with FIDO authenticators already embedded in their devices, which greatly simplifies deployment and scale. It is the same for Windows 10-based PC, and the same is expected with Mac OS. And even if you decide to use roaming authenticator like a FIDO security key, the cost is very small compared to other approaches. Once again, besides the fact that we created the open authentication protocol that is more secure than just using password-based authentication, we are contributing cybersecurity industry and helping our members and partners to benefit from by removing friction and making it easier to use, making it global standard so it ensures interoperability and meet any regulatory requirements, and reducing cost on password reset, help desk management, and employees' time spent on logging with a password.
Thank you so much, June. I think when we're talking about the company's technology and the certified solutions, it's very important. I like the fact that how you mentioned that we are removing the friction and ensuring more reduction in the cost in password resets and helping the management focus on the other key areas rather than on small things like passwords. Though it is small, but it does create a lot of impact when you're talking about security and data breach. So I just wanted to cite that as per the World Economic Forum, cybercrime is set to cost $2.9 million every minute in 2020, and passwords are responsible for 80% of these cyber attacks. So that's huge. And moreover, it's stated that knowledge-based authentication like passwords are costly to maintain and are an headache for users. So it is high time for organization to get rid of passwords and get ready for a passwordless future. So tell us how a FIDO Alliance is contributing to the cybersecurity industry, and how do you think the organization is benefiting its members and partner organizations?
Thanks, Priya. I kind of already answered in the earlier question, but let me just revisit a couple of them. So, besides the fact that we have created this open standard that anyone can use for the passwordless authentication, it's much secure than just using password-based authentication. We are contributing this industry and helping our members in many different ways. We help them to reduce the cost on password reset help desk management, and employees' time to spend to log in with the password. There are many studies done by our members when they deploy their services to our members. They try to track the cost involved and the time spent for the password management, and it's well recorded, and then it's written on our white papers. So I ask listeners to pay a visit to our website for these white papers. And also, on behalf of all these service providers and security companies and all these industries, we are working with global standard bodies to make it a global standard. So it ensures that interoperability and meet the regulatory requirements. And bottom of all, we are trying our best to educate the market and promote the technologies on behalf of our members and the organizations.
Thank you so much, June, for guiding our listeners again to how the company is contributing in the cybersecurity space. And yes, it's true indeed that educating the market and telling them about how different cyber attacks are happening and how we are bringing solutions to help curb these issues is also very important. Having said that, we are navigating to a work from anywhere world. There are many elements outside the IT team's control, from users' devices and Wi-Fi connection to the apps and websites. They're frequently using mobiles, and remote work has increased the risks and the variables that need to be thought of. So one question that usually people come across is your organization ready to go passwordless? So before we get into the question, it's important to start examining the best way to implement a seamless, streamlined, and secured way for employees to log in into all their work no matter where they are located today. So, how do you think disruptive technologies like artificial intelligence and facial recognition is impacting today's innovation, and how that has impacted, and what is FIDO is trying to do with that?
Thanks, Priya. That's a great question, and that's something that we always try to clarify. The difference between facial recognition and facial authentication. We need to understand the difference between facial recognition versus facial authentication. The facial authentication is one of the many biometric authentication approaches verifying that the device belongs to you. The biometric authentication, coupled with the multifactors, what you know, what you have, what you are, and asymmetric public cryptography technology, is the easiest and most secure method to log into your device and websites. We should not be confused with the facial recognition, which is related but fundamentally different technologies. Please note that there are two approaches to facial or any other biometric authentication. One is match on server and another is match on device. Match on server approach shares some of the risk aspects of the facial recognition technology because it stores the details of one's most personal features, your face, your fingerprint on server, which is inherently insecure. There are some well-publicized examples of biometric data being hacked, which is why so many companies are committing to on-device biometrics only. Using match on-device authentication, the facial scan compares the current face with that of the one already stored on the device. It never searches the cloud or server for a match. Your biometric data never leaves your device at all. The scan simply confirms the person requesting access to a laptop, to a smartphone, to a tablet, or to a particular website is who they claim to be. This approach uses one-to-one comparison and specifically allows a user to access to a machine, a website, or application instead of taking on the risk and challenge of using password.
Great. Thank you so much for telling us the difference between facial recognition and facial authentication. I think that was quite insightful. Though these terms are used interchangeably, they're completely different when it talks about the meaning and its implication. So, it is a universal truth that passwords and humans are the two major sources of cybersecurity vulnerabilities. So, while organizations have been following the legacy of passwords for many years, human errors like password reuse, weak passwords, and poor password management have put the security of confidential information at risk. So, no matter how much awareness ever we try to create, basic password habits still remain the subject of concern. So, how do you think? What is the current view or your current scenario of the authentication, and what are your views on its future?
Okay, great. So perhaps I can share a couple of the terms that we emphasize when we introduce or try to show you the differences between current scenario of authentication and versus to a future of online authentication with the FIDO. So first one we emphasize is that no shared secrets. Your password or biometrics stored in servers are basically targets for the hackers. FIDO is designed that your secrets, whether that is PIN number, patterns, biometrics, are only securely stored in your device. In the registration process, the FIDO authenticator creates a key pair consisting of a public key and secret private key. The public key is transferred to whatever online service you are accessing, and this service can then use it during the sign-in process to determine whether you are in possession of the associated private key. This private key is stored only on the FIDO authenticator, meaning that it cannot be compromised by a data leak on the part of the email service providers or, for example, like online banking service providers. And another term that we emphasize is multifactor. Passwords are only depending on one single factor, which is what you know. Combinations of a multifactor, such as what you are, biometrics, what you have, like devices and browsers, can not only guarantee higher level of security, but also better user experience by adopting one-step single gesture. Another term that we emphasize, last but not least, is that phishing resistant. FIDO provides protections against phishing attacks. For example, if you want to log into your online bank, the server sends a challenge to your authenticator by means of which it has to prove that it is in possession of the private key. Information about the sender and the channel used is also transmitted alongside the challenge. This allows the FIDO token to determine whether the sender is actually your online bank or a phishing attack. And if an attacker has hijacked the communication pathway between the bank and your computer using what is known as like a man-in-the-middle attack, the authenticator will likewise raise an alarm.
That was quite insightful, June, and thank you sharing. Thank you again for sharing with us. Since we're talking about a passwordless authentication or a passwordless future, savings on cost over the long run, that it's there, of course, but organizations will eventually have to face expensive deployment and training. So, whereas seeing the current status of security in every organization due to the pandemic, the smart step would be to train employees with security awareness training rather than deploying a new technology that would take everything back to square one and disturbing the cyber resilience of the organization. So, do you think this is one such alternative? And I feel this is one such challenge that we would be facing when we would be deploying a passwordless authentication. So, apart from this, or if you think this is a challenge, what are some of the major challenges the company has faced till now?
Um, Frankly speaking, we have seen some changes a few months due to the COVID-19 pandemic crisis. It actually accelerated the digital transformation from FIDO being just buzzword to truly reshaping business and working models for from the ground up. At the same time, there's a massive opportunity for hackers and who see this crisis as a opportunity, and then target the vulnerable workforce as a prime target. But when we did the Authenticate 2020, our FIDO conference over the last couple of weeks, our members reported that they are witnessing the client's decision-making speed go to passwordless becoming within a couple of months, rather than what used to be 1 to 2 year it usually took in the past. So that's big changes and challenges that we are seeing now. And of course, after making the specs available, now the adoption is the key challenge, key focus for us now. The foundation is set as our specifications are supported by the vast majority of devices on the market and ready for wide rollout. So now it is about eliminating the small, fine obstacles, which is something that we are actively working on through various working groups. Our hope is to see more and more companies deploying FIDO in consumer, government, and enterprise settings, and we are aware of many such deployments already taken place. If I can talk about what's happening in Asia, the example are like the Line, the instant messaging app, and Taiwan government adopting FIDO for the purpose of a citizens' tax filing, and Malaysia cybersecurity strategy adopting FIDO certified services, and Hong Kong Jackie Club adopting FIDO authentication, and Japan Entity Docomo's D account adopting FIDO, and Japan KDDI, AUID adopting FIDO, and in India, MasterCard providing FIDO-based solution to verify transactions, and like for Korea, the Blue House, the presidential office, adopting FIDO authentication, and Samsung Pays always using the FIDO authentication, and so on and so on. So adoption is very big challenge, and we are looking at great more work to be done in Vietnam and Indonesia by our members over the next year or so.
That's true. I think adoption is a big challenge, and not just in terms of adopting a passwordless authentication service, or for it's important that organizations or individuals independently should be ready to adopt new technologies and new methods which help in mitigating the risks, and also which is beneficial for the entire economy overall. Um, Moving ahead, passwordless login experience means that while passwords may still exist in the IT infrastructure, the employee will not have to manually enter a password during the login. It brings several benefits such as reduce IT cost by eliminating password-related risk, increase productivity amongst employees. So they save time on remembering or changing passwords, and stronger security by guarding every access point with more secure forms of authentications. So, however, moving into a passwordless approach requires choosing and implementing the technology that fits your organization's needs. So, when we're talking about such evolving technologies and choosing the right technology, one last question, June, is how do you see the industry and the alliance moving in the future ahead?
Okay, great. Great question, Priya. So we recently started complementary initiatives in the areas of identity verification and IoT, Internet of Things. Particularly in the IoT space, there is a big need for passwordless authentication. The IDC, the global market intelligence firm, estimated that there will be 41.6 billion connected IoT devices globally by 2025. This opens opportunities for increased efficiencies. Yet the lack of the IoT security standards and typical process such as shipping with the default password credentials and manual onboarding leaves devices and the network they operate on open to large-scale attack. We feel confident that within the next 5 years, most consumer-facing internet services will offer their customers a passwordless option to log into their products and services. But the bigger step is getting rid of the passwords altogether after all.
After decades of using password legacy, we are close to achieving robust password practices. Although remembering and managing passwords is stressful, we still rely on them. And on the other hand, no matter how much we try to stick to the old habit, there are so many amazing solutions on the horizon that the passwordless future has in store. So, unless results of user experiences prove the effectiveness, it would be probably unreasonable to predict how passwordless the future is going to be, or if you're ready to adopt the new change yet or not. Thank you so much, June, for taking out time for us and having and coming on our podcast. It was a pleasure having you with us. And this is Priya Dayalani signing off. Thank you so much.